Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
Scott for Scott's here. You ever want to grow new grass faster? Kind of like when you press the 2 times playback button on your podcast so you can speed through episodes. Except at Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass, you're speeding your way from a thin and damaged lawn to a thicker, stronger one in just weeks. Bit too fast, maybe slow it down. Okay, let's just go back to normal speed.
Get a bag of Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass today. It grows grass 2 times faster than seed alone when applied at the new lawn rate, subject to proper care.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on all your favorite podcasting apps, and of course is also a part of the Pigskin Podcast Network. Thank you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. I thank you once and always for that, and it is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. The Minnesota Vikings played against the New England Patriots, and for the first time in about 20 years, finally beat the New England Patriots. It was a back-and-forth battle, had all the potential of being another disappointment and a chance to put this team in a position that was a little bit scary, but ultimately the Minnesota Vikings showed up to play for the most part and got the job done, thankfully. So a lot of us feeling a little bit better at the end of this one. Final score of 33-26 over the difficult-to-play New England Patriots, to say the least. Bill Belichick obviously always having his team prepared. It's ironic, though, how obviously Bill Belichick, going way back in the early portions of his career, was a special teams coach, so obviously he's not going to be real happy with what took place today, and of course the announcers brought that up many times as well. Special teams definitely haunted the New England Patriots and were a big help for the Minnesota Vikings. They pretty much dominated in special teams, including Kenny Nwangwu's 97-yard return, and of course the play was Vikings were going to punt the ball. Ryan Wright was punting the ball and was, his ankle was hit, or basically the edge of his foot was hit by a New England special teamer, the gunner, as they say. The next thing you know, the Vikings have a first down, and things start to spiral for the New England Patriots as the game progresses. And the Vikings ultimately take the lead and win the football game, thankfully. Not the prettiest game you ever saw, not the best defensively played game you ever saw. Kirk Cousins had an interception, but responded incredibly after that and had an extremely efficient game, prime time and on a holiday. Honestly, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. Just under 300 yards at 299, quarterback rating of 116.1 anyway, and 30 of 31, 80% completion percentage, 81% to be exact. Wow, absolutely great. And you saw some fun, cute trick plays again on the opening drive. Justin Jefferson. It was Kirk Cousins to Jefferson, and then Justin Jefferson with a completion down the field a little bit further to his friend Adam Thielen. That was kind of fun. Jefferson wound up with 9 catches, 139 yards. Looked spectacular. Not as spectacular as he did against the Buffalo Bills or anything, but still had made some huge plays along the way, including a 37-yarder, and got into the end zone once. T.J. Hawkinson, nice rebound of a game. Only had 1 ball not caught, ultimately 5 catches, 43 yards. Nothing spectacular, but finally got in the end zone on a bit of a fade type of play that had Bill Belichick. You could see the words GD it, basically. Like, I don't know, somebody lost their man, basically, that type of thing. Hawkinson was able to kind of open up on that play, and that felt really nice. Adam Thielen got in the end zone. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of love lost between Adam Thielen and Bill Belichick. I swear I hope I didn't see this, but I swear I saw Bill Belichick basically blow off Adam Thielen when he tried to come and give him like a bro hug or whatever at the end of the game. Look, hopefully it was like afterward and I just missed it, or like the camera got there late, that type of thing. but it looked like Belichick just blew him off, so that kind of sucks. Remember how the last time the two were kind of going at it, last time these two teams played, Bill Belichick throwing a challenge flag and Adam Thielen like saying, hey, that's BS, blah, 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 blah. And then Belichick looked him, Thielen in the eye and told him, shut the bleep up, basically. So it was funny, but also kind of, a little bit hard, I guess. The Vikings had a hell of a time getting to Mac Jones until late in the game. Ultimately wound up with 3 sacks somehow. Ross Blacklock got one of the sacks along with Daniil Hunter and Jordan Hicks. Late in the game, things just didn't work out for the New England quarterback, Mac Jones, but he's a pretty good quarterback. Nice game for him. And again, against the Donna Shell defense, as people like to call it now, which is not a very affectionate way to call it, unfortunately for Ed Donatel. Apologize. But Mac Jones did very well, did not turn the ball over, had a quarterback rating of 119.8, so basically 120. He completed about 72% of his passes for 382 yards and 2 touchdowns. It does help that for about, 7/8 of the game or so, Mac Jones was protected insanely well. He faced very, very little resistance, very, very few hurries, very good offensive line protection of Mac Jones for most of the game. So that's going to help. So the pass rush had been very ineffective for quite a while. Zadarius Smith was contained majorly. He got like 1 quarterback hurry basically in the first, but by about the 9-minute mark of the fourth quarter, that's about where he was at. So insanely frustrating there. Again, New England offense efficient at times. Devontae Parker had a big play. They also had a touchdown taken away where they had to settle for a field goal, did the Patriots. Was it Hunter Henry? Yep, the tight end Hunter Henry had a touchdown taken away because, he just didn't quite have control of the ball. He wasn't quite Justin Jeffersoning it, getting the hand underneath the ball. Unfortunately, the ball went to the ground first and bounced up, so that officially is he didn't have full possession of the ball, so that's unfortunate for Hunter Henry, but very fortunate for us. Nick Folk made all of his kicks. Surprise, surprise. Adrian Peterson? Kirk Cousins, I don't know where that came from, was completely blindsided by Josh Uch. Completely blindsided. Honestly, both offensive lines played very well in today's game. Blake Brandel, much, 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 much better than last week, except on that play. It's like he was just kind of left on an island there, where Josh Uch just kind of got right past and blindsided Kirk Cousins, but luckily no strip sack or anything crazy like that. Just an overall better played football game. The Vikings learned a lot of lessons last week, I think. So you feel a hell of a lot better at the end of the day with how the Vikings played versus last week. I mean, last week was an abomination at the end of the day for any football fan. When you consider how well the Detroit Lions have been playing, they would have been like furious to a point of like, what the heck? I don't care if this is the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs. It doesn't matter. Losing by a score like that is unacceptable. Losing by 37 points is unacceptable, at home or on the road. It was an abomination of a game for the Minnesota Vikings. So you got to think, hopefully there's going to be some improvements coming. And that there's no tailspin on the way where we start playing like garbage and start losing 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row. And next thing you know, the Vikings are, fighting to even make the playoffs, which would be the dumbest thing ever. Luckily, no. I don't think this team's going to fight to make the playoffs. They're basically like a win away from probably clinching at least a wild card or so. But oftentimes it takes longer, even though you're going to make it anyway. At 10 wins, more than likely you're going to make it. But it'll probably take to 11 for it to be official. And hopefully with the upcoming schedule, it's not that far away when you look at the grand scheme of things. Pardon me, I got a frog in my throat again. I've been having a hard time lately with that. So correcting that issue at the moment. Apologize. So, again, just a well-played football game. You come out of it feeling better. I feel satisfied. I don't think this was a great game. I don't think we thoroughly thrashed the New England Patriots. I do think both teams played very well, to be quite fair. Again, like I said, the offensive line of the New England Patriots was really effective, and unfortunately the pass rush of Minnesota was not. Pass rush of New England, who's been very, very effective all season, not so great either. One of the best takeaway teams in the NFL, the New England Patriots. That's historic for Bill Belichick, whether Spygate or not. That's how they won the Super Bowl versus teams like the Rams and such, with the obviously forcing turnovers and pass rush, this and that, depending on the situation. So for this offensive line to protect as well as they did, and tight ends, to be fair, to protect as well as they did, they deserve a ton of credit. So you just feel so much better. Dalvin Cook didn't have nearly the performance that he did the last couple of weeks. It is what it is. I mean, the New England run defense is pretty tough. They swallowed things up, but Kirk Cousins was up to the task. Primetime Kirk looked like Primetime Kirk, and you get to have the, what do they call them, Kirko chains, basically, out there. I think that's the first time I even mentioned that, because I'm not into that kind of stuff. I'm just not. And good for them if they want to have fun with that, and ends up being a special thing, and we end up winning a Super Bowl, and it's something we talk about, just like maybe Kirby Puckett and the 87 Twins and stuff. I think one of those... He dressed up like one of those kind of like biker people of that era. Those like black outfit. I forget what it is. Kind of leather black outfit. It was kind of cool. It was kind of nice. But it was of that era, the late 80s. And it was a fun thing. They had fun with stuff like that. And, you have fond memories. Even silly stuff like the file in Joe Necro's pocket, stuff like that. And hopefully we remember Kirko chains one day as, that magical season where the Vikings went on to win the Super Bowl. That would be a lot of fun. The rally monkey for the Anaheim Angels, they won the World Series, stuff like that. Hopefully that ends up being a wonderful memory, regardless of, I might think it's silly or not my cup of tea or whatever. It is what it is. Next week, the Vikings will play the New York Jets. We're back to nooners again. New York Jets, Sunday the 4th of December, and then Sunday the 11th of December, Detroit Lions. That would be in Detroit. And then still the Indianapolis Colts game is still to be decided for some reason. So that's interesting if that's Thursday or whatever, or Saturday or something. And then we will have a Saturday game versus the Giants on Christmas Eve instead of Christmas Day. So it kind of makes sense. And then New Year's Day versus the Green Bay Packers. The Giants game is at noon. That's Christmas Eve, of course. And then New Year's Day, 3:25 versus Green Bay in Green Bay. That can't be an easy game necessarily. And then the Bears game, which is a classic at the end of the year, Vikings and Bears. This one will be on the road, right? So, yeah, this one will be on the road, I believe. I mean, we had so many home games to wrap up with Chicago every year, so that'll be interesting. And that one is to be decided as well. Kind of looking at the upcoming schedule, plenty of winnable games there. This team's chances of having 13 wins or something are pretty high. 13-4 is a very realistic record for this club, considering only 2 losses at the moment. So it's very possible. 13-4 seems like a very, very doable target. 14-3 would be better, and so on and so forth. 15-2 would be insane, but I guess you never know. That would probably, hopefully, give us home field advantage, and this time, hopefully, it could lead to a Super Bowl appearance, and hopefully the ultimate goal of winning it, because you got to win at the end of the day. One way or another, looks like a very, very promising season still. But if the Vikings win a championship or whatever, we're gonna be probably. It's not going to be like Seattle-Denver, where Seattle finally wins a Super Bowl after all those years struggling and being a mediocre franchise. Just Seattle started making mistakes early, and then, Denver made mistakes early, the fumbled snap or high snap, whatever, and then Seattle, it was like a tsunami. It was a tidal wave, and they destroyed Denver, and it was never a game, and blah blah blah. Anticlimactic, but I'm sure still felt great for Seattle fans. I don't think Vikings will have that kind of a fortune if the Vikings get to the Super Bowl. It'll be a game like this, probably a back and forth battle where you're maybe trailing for an extended period. And in this game, it felt for a long time like there was a pretty good chance we weren't going to win this game. It was the Patriots had the advantage. They had a lead. They even had the ball with the lead and this and that. And then finally, momentum started to change a little bit. And running into the kicker certainly was a huge break for Minnesota, but that's on the Patriots. That's not the referees bailing us out. That's on the Patriots. Occasionally the referees don't make the call, and then you're really screwed, and then you're pissed off, and I don't know, then you're bitching about the refs for the next week or so and hoping you get calls next week. Oh, the refs did this and the refs did that. But Well, if anything, the Patriots can't complain about the refs. They can complain, however, about their special teams play. Again, giving up Kenny Nwangwu's 97-yard return. That was epic and awesome. And definitely he's a candidate one way or another for a Fran Tarkenton Award, even though it's one play. But he's been great all season, and he's becoming a historic kick returner now. That's 3 touchdowns already in his career, which is great. He had 2 last year. He's been wonderful. This is only his second year in the league, and he's already got 3 special teams touchdowns. So awesome. All returns, of course. He's becoming a historic guy at that position. And years in the past, Minnesota had struggled so mightily at kick returning. There was just nothing. Ever since Cordero Patterson left, there was like nothing there. It was frustrating. He'd return like 10 yards maybe, and your punter would just fair catch like 99% of the time. Maybe you'd average about 5 yards a return on a punt, and it was heartbreaking. You know, I just saw the replay of that Henry touchdown, potential touchdown anyway. Huh. That looked different. That actually looked like he might have had it. It's like no wonder he was kind of waving like, yeah, whatever, BS. That was a touchdown after the call was reversed. Huh. Well, I mean, they know more than I do, and I'm glad that call was made in our favor. Interesting. That looked like a 50-50 call. It didn't look obvious. To some people, at the time, it looked more obvious, like, no, he didn't catch it. Huh. Well, there's my objective NFL fan side coming out versus my purple shades. Interesting. Very interesting. And there was a big, huge play also where Justin Jefferson actually played a little cornerback on a potential interception as well. So, I mean, Kirk Cousins was good for the most part. Greg Joseph missed another extra point. It was pretty ugly, actually, but at least he made the other 3. I don't think he should be cut or anything. That question was brought up by Mad Martin, and I'm sure other people as well are probably thinking that at times. He's a pretty good kicker. He's certainly not elite. Damn, I wish we didn't give up on Carlson, but he had such an awful game. Remember the whole infamous "you saw the game" from Mike Zimmer and all that. So, but ultimately, Rick Spielman, the guy who drafted him, had to make that final decision, being the general manager. So it's a damn shame. Another thing that helped is Cameron Bynum was back out there. That's good, obviously. Duke Shelley, I thought, was reasonably good. He got beat a little bit. In fact, yes, he did. He did get beat a bit. That's why he had 6 total tackles. Sullivan, again, that touchdown didn't happen, thankfully. Sullivan would have been beat for a touchdown, but the guy didn't have control of the ball, him being Henry of the New England Patriots. Just an overall well-played, fun NFL game on Thanksgiving Day. I'm not, nothing major to complain about. It was entertaining. It was solid. It was good quality, I thought, for the most part. It was nice to see the offensive line protecting each other. Would have been fun to see Mac Jones be brought down a bit, but I don't know. It's not fun necessarily when it's just sack, unless it's just your team doing it. Sometimes it's ugly and frustrating at the same time. I mean, it's nice to see good quarterback play and all that. It made the game entertaining, and I respect that in a huge way. KJ Osborne had a key first down run as well, kind of on a reverse play, 5-yard gain. That felt like $1 million. That was one of the key first downs that helped to drive late in the game, moving the clock and such. Jalen Reagor had a huge 25-yard play as well. That made us feel great. Johnny Munt, a couple of catches. Again, T.J. Hockenson, 5 catches for only 43 yards, but a lot of them were pretty key, including that touchdown, which was like, finally. Hockenson, much, much better game. He was awful last week. Awful. He started awful, and he stayed awful the entire game. It sucks seeing KJ Osborne only getting 1 catch, and then he did have that cool run on 3rd down, which really helped get a first down. Made you feel great. But it'd be nice to see KJ Osborne involved a little bit more. I mean, 10 targets for Thielen, 11 for Jefferson. Good, worthy, and all that, but I don't know. Why not 3 or 4 targets for KJ Osborne? I think it's possible to mix it up a little bit at times. But good to see Reagor again. Justin Jefferson's counterpart there in the in the 2020 NFL draft. Kind of fascinating, considering when the Eagles took him, and a lot of people locally, actually, we're kind of like, Rager's definitely a guy maybe the Vikings are looking at, but it turned out they weren't at all. They were actually like, ha, they passed on Jefferson, wow, and then Vikings took him. So I was dancing on the clouds when the Vikings took Justin Jefferson. I did not think he would be this good. I did not. But I did think he was going to be a very successful wide receiver in the NFL. And to me, it was just obvious. You saw what you saw. You watched video after video of what he could do in college. And it was like, that's my guy if he's there at the wide receiver position. We had to take a wide receiver because Stephon Diggs was obviously departed. But to think that's who the Vikings wound up with just feels like $1 million. Of course, this is old news again. I can't be just bragging like I'm Mr. Genius and telling you that was the guy and I'm right and blah, blah, blah. So I know it's old news now in terms of that. But it's still wonderful to have him there. If you want to hear it at the time, to hear proof that I was into Justin Jefferson at the time, take a look back at the draft preview in 2020 of April, March, and then the review of 2020 in when the Vikings did take Justin Jefferson in, I believe it was early May. So if you're curious, you don't have to, but if you're curious. So always appreciated those of you that do care to go back for that kind of thing. Just a overall kind of well-played game. Not great by the defense, but not that bad. Certainly not that bad. I mean, they made the plays when they needed to, and it made you feel a hell of a lot better. The Fran Tarkington for this episode, it's kind of tough. I mean, it could be Justin Jefferson very easily. Some wonderful plays, including deflecting a pass that could have been intercepted. Kirk Cousins, other than the interception, was insanely good. He was insanely good. Members of the offensive line, they all stepped up. I mean, even, again, Blake Brandel did really well. Oli Udoh did pretty well as well. Guys like that when they were in there. Of course, Brian O'Neill, absolutely wonderful. Bradbury did well, this and that. So really appreciate what these guys were capable of doing to make this team feel better. And to come back and have a 9-2 record now. Again, a half game behind the Philadelphia Eagles going into this upcoming weekend. And I will, obviously, you'll notice the show is being uploaded in Sunday, but I'm recording this fresh on Thanksgiving night. So, recording this fresh on Thanksgiving night, because why wait 2 days to review a game? It kind of feels tough when it comes to football. I do it all the time with, like, hockey and basketball, but when there's a game every 2 days, it's a little different. Football is a week-by-week thing, and if I'm not fresh to review a football game, that's not good. Unfortunately, at the time I'm recording, segment number 2 and 3 of this show, Philadelphia and Green Bay will not be completed. That's a Sunday night game. We'll be talking about it. Hopefully, one of the rare cases we'll be cheering for Green Bay. Hopefully the Packers get the job done and win that one. Yes, go Green Bay, go Pack, go. Yes, please. Please go Pack, go. It's not because I'm cocky and think the Packers suck. It's because, well, they have 7 losses, and we need their help. Plain and simple. Beat the frickin' Eagles. Go Pack, go. Dun, 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 go Pack, go. Yes, please. Yes, I don't think the Vikings are going to lose 7 games this year. Knock on wood. Famous last words. So just please don't do that. That would be ridiculous. Should be really crappy. If the Vikings only win 1 more game this year, that would suck so bad. Don't do that. Come on. Win at least 11, right? Okay, just win at least 11. Go Pack, go. Okay? There, I said it again. I hope the Vikings win more than 11. That'd be incredibly disappointing as well. The Christian Ponder Memorial for this episode, was there really anybody that stood out as had a terrible game for Minnesota? Not really. I mean, I'm not going to pick on Duke Shelley. He saved our butts in Buffalo. He deflected a pass. He was okay. He was all right. I don't know, and I don't want to pick on Blake Brandel for giving up the sack. That was like one play. I don't know. He didn't get help. Sometimes a guy needs help too, so that would be nice. Maybe just generally occasionally some of the play calling drove me nuts. Like the short play, the short pass to T.J. Hawkinson on 3rd and long, when he'd have to break like 3 or 4 tackles to get a first down. Like that's Zimmer crap. That's Zimmer and Clint Kubiak standards. I'm sorry, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. So what's the point? And they were showing Viking fans with paint and their Helga horns and stuff, but they looked more like real Viking, the real Viking look than say like the purple thing. purple with white horns. It was, you could read their lips like, what was that? They were pissed. And fans were booing. So, yeah, because we're sick of that Zimmer garbage. And that's what we saw in a couple plays. Some of the play calling in general on occasion was bad. But generally speaking, it was creative for the most part. Just plays like that had you kind of like, I don't know, sick and mad at the same time. Maybe I can look at the other really fast for the heck of it. The other Thanksgiving games, maybe I can kind of cheat ahead with those and then not review those on Sunday. Or maybe I will. I don't know. I could talk about them a little bit, and I'll maybe go back into them some more. But yeah, Dallas was able to overcome the New York Giants today, 28-20. Not the prettiest thing you ever saw. The Giants don't look as good as they did earlier this season. They're certainly not a threat this season. They're certainly not. They're not as much of a threat as we thought, but I do think they're still wild card material at 7-4. The Cowboys are riding high, and watch out. I don't want the Cowboys to catch up to the Vikings. They're only one game behind Minnesota, so watch out for the Dallas Cowboys. 28-20, 8-3 record for the Dallas Cowboys. So watch out. Daniel Jones looked kind of like a game manager. Barkley didn't dominate at all. Darius Slayton, 63 yards in the air. Zeke Elliott was contained really nicely early, but started breaking loose. Tony Pollard was actually less effective than Zeke Elliott in this game. Zeke Elliott averaged almost 6 yards a carry as he just kind of kept getting better and better and better. CeeDee Lamb, yet another one of those great receivers in that amazing 2020 draft, was a huge part. The Giants' chances of winning the game were because Dak Prescott started turning the ball over and his efficiency started to drop off a bit. But generally speaking, Dallas got the job done, despite, again, Brett Maher also missing a kick. Funny. But guys like Micah Parsons, 2 more sacks for him, and that helped the Cowboys get to 8-3. So watch out. Buffalo, Detroit, Dan Campbell knocking those kneecaps again, doing a great job, but just could not finish it. Buffalo ended the game in dramatic fashion and ended up surviving. Josh Allen did have an interception in the game. He did also display his athleticism yet again with 10 rushes, including a touchdown and 78 yards. His counterpart, we'll say, his cohort, Devin Singletary, 14 rushes for 72 yards. Good for them. Jared Goff was pretty solid, not great, but solid. Did get 2 touchdowns, but wasn't as efficient as he'd like to be, I'm sure. I'm sure he's kicking himself a little bit down the stretch. Amon St. Brown, though, with 9 catches and 122 yards, an epic performance for him. Gave Detroit a real chance to win this one, a touchdown. And Jamal Williams also ran one in, but a fumble lost. Fatal for the Detroit Lions. This turnovers are the kind of thing that can kill you in a close game like this. Buffalo to fight as much as they did to beat the Detroit Lions. Doesn't say Buffalo's bad. It says Detroit's becoming a bigger and bigger threat, and good for them. Good for them. They deserve to be a team. It's a fan base that deserves deserves something to cheer for. And I think Dan Campbell is a coach that deserves to be reckoned with. I think he's a good coach. I think he's doing something right. I think people should respect him more than they do, rather than he's just some goon, some goon tight end. I thought Mike Tice deserved more respect than he got. So Dan Campbell's basically a modern version of Mike Tice, to be quite fair. Kind of, that the big lug, whatever, a big lug type of guy, but I think deserves respect. So congratulations, Detroit, for making it a hell of a game, and I'm very sorry you lost. Buffalo, also 8-3. 2 fantastic teams, Dallas and Buffalo. You never know. Maybe they'll match up in the Super Bowl again. Go Buffalo in that case. Oh, please, Buffalo, get the job done. Get some revenge. It's funny to think they did play in the Super Bowl twice, and it did not go well for Buffalo. Good Buffalo team, but just did not show up to play in those Super Bowls. Very depressing at the end of the day. So I guess I talked about Thanksgiving football in general today and gave out the awards for this episode. Urban Legend of the Day. I don't know. I mean, wow, it took 20 years to finally get past the New England Patriots. Maybe it's not really weird. It's just remarkable that it took that long. It took 20 years to finally beat Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. 20 years to beat Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. That's a long time. So it's a nice accomplishment. Congratulations, Minnesota. With that said, we'll take a quick break, and we're going to come back for the second segment to look around the league, talk about, I guess, the Bears and the Packers and Eagles, I suppose, a bit, even though that game will still be playing, and preview the New York Jets coming up, who don't look as good lately. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2. Time to look around the NFL, of course, the NFC North, and previewing the New York Jets game coming up next week, which will be in US Bank Stadium. Another nooner, so that's good. We'll see how it turns out. Of course, first, though, we want to hear from DraftKings. We're going to hear from DraftKings, our sponsor on the Pigskin Podcast Network. Really, really appreciate it. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is my go-to when betting on the NFL this holiday season, or should I say Christmas season. Yep, so right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. That's pretty good. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, player props, point totals, and more. The more legs you add, the bigger the boost. The bigger your shot to win big. Yes, sir. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code TPPN. Place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details, as the disclaimer will be there. Absolutely. So, again, do download that app. So, continuing from where we left off, I did talk about the games that were on Thanksgiving. The Buffalo Bills did beat Detroit, and some poor game management late in that game, unfortunately, by our friend Dan Campbell. That's unfortunate. I like him, though. I want him to succeed. And the Dallas Cowboys beat the Giants. Yay. They're actually very close to the Vikings still, unfortunately, and you don't want to get into that tiebreaker issue. Tampa Bay, what are you doing? What are you doing, Tampa Bay? They lost to Cleveland. What the hell? In overtime. Tampa Bay is now 5-6, still in first place, so maybe they'll be one of those cute teams that has a losing record and still wins their division. And, I don't know, maybe squeaks out a win in the first round and then loses in the second. But I wouldn't want them coming to I wouldn't want them coming to US Bank Stadium. Believe me, I wouldn't. Tom Brady is still undefeated against the Vikings. Would this be the year we end that streak as well, where Bill Belichick undefeated versus Minnesota? So we'll have to wait and see, at least as a member of the Patriots. As the head coach of the Patriots, Cleveland only wins their 4th game of the season, defeating Tampa Bay Vinrock Vince Germano's club, in case he's listening, out of Melbourne, Australia. Jacoby Brissett, 1 touchdown, 1 interception in the game. Meh, not good completion percentage or anything like that. Brady, kind of efficient, kind of not. Rashad White with 64 yards on the ground, no touchdowns. Chris Goodwin with 110 yards in the air and 12 receptions and a touchdown. Good for him. Amari Cooper led Cleveland with 94 yards in the air, but Nick Chubb was probably their best player in the game, averaging 4.5 yards a carry, 116 yards and a TD. But Anthony Schwartz also getting in the end zone. And David Njoku with a receiving touchdown. Cleveland with the win, though, in overtime. That's what matters in that sense. Myles Garrett with a sack and a half, sharing that with Jadeveon Clowney. Kind of a familiar name, right? And Jordan Elliott also picking up a sack. Good for the Cleveland Browns beating Tampa, I suppose, right? So much for the Tampa Bay Bucks, I guess. Cincinnati beat Tennessee in Tennessee today. Very huge win for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're in second place now in the NFC North, getting closer and closer to the playoffs, trying to defend their AFC championship. And yeah, I know. If the Vikings don't make it to the Super Bowl, I'm strongly cheering for the AFC to win. Why would I cheer for the Eagles? Why would I cheer? The only team that I would cheer for in the NFC might be San Francisco, and it depends on who's there in the AFC. If it's Kansas City, I'm not cheering for the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'm not. So there's that other team. Just not a fan. Sorry. Joe Burrow only completed 22 of 37. It wasn't the prettiest game ever. Ryan Tannehill didn't have his most efficient game ever. Both quarterbacks' ratings were just barely in the 90s. Perrine with 58 yards on the ground and a touchdown for Cincy. Only 9 yards for a long. So just kind of I don't know. Tennessee, obviously good, solid defense. And Derrick Henry only 9 yards for a long on 17 carries. The Cincinnati defense showed up to play today, at least in the run game. But receiving game, actually, Derrick Henry a bit more valuable. A 69-yard scamper to get his number up to 79 total. So, again, that tells you without that scamper of 69 yards, which did not result in a touchdown for Tennessee. Derrick Henry, awfully mediocre. It's just amazing. I mean, I talk about this every single week. I just can't believe how quickly running backs run out of gas in the NFL. It's sad, man. It's really sad. T. Higgins, 114 yards in the air. I'd say he's the best player on Cincinnati, at least on the offensive side of the ball, with a touchdown and, again, the 114 yards and 7 catches. Great game for T. Higgins. Sam Hubbard with the lone sack for Cincy. And Tennessee also only had 1 sack, that from DeMarcus Walker. I'm just kidding. DeMarcus Walker, of course. Yeah. No Joe Mixon in the game for Cincy. So it is what it is. Tennessee, nice win though, 7-4 on the season. Miami over the crappy and sappy and crappy Houston Texans, 1-9-1 on the year. Miami Dolphins, 5 wins in a row after losing to the Vikings, and Tua returning. Wow, they look great. 8-3, just like the Cowboys. It's a very good Miami Dolphins team. They beat a crappy team today, but so what? They beat them though. They didn't screw around like the frickin' Buccaneers did today. They did screw around a little bit because they had a 30-0 lead at the end of the half, 30-0 lead, and they let Houston score 15 unanswered points the rest of the game. What are you doing, Miami? Other than I guess just being careful and not letting guys get hurt or concussed. I'm not trying to make light of anything. Just don't get hurt again, Tua. That's all. I mean, you're praying to God that doesn't happen because I like Miami. That's another AFC team I would cheer for if they made it to the Super Bowl, as long as it wasn't against the Vikings. That'd be a tough matchup, I gotta think. And a lot of people do believe Vikings' chances of winning that game if Tua was healthy and playing well and everything. Watch out. That would have been a really tough game. Teddy Bridgewater, gosh, I'm a huge fan of his, but he's done, isn't he? And it's sad to say. And gosh, again, how quickly it is, how quickly things change in the NFL for whatever reason, injuries or just whatever. Sometimes guys just aren't good. Defenses figure them out. That happened a lot in the past, where this quarterback would kind of pop up out of nowhere, and by the next year or two, it'd be like, who again? You know, and that happened multiple times in the past. Guys like, what was it, Dave Brown? He was like a decent quarterback for like a year. Looked like, okay, he's popped up a little bit. By the next year, it was like, who? You know, he was completely nothing. NFL defenses figured him out and gobbled him up and engulfed him. There isn't a whole lot to say, really. Miami just kind of beat up on an awful team. Tyreek Hill, no peace sign today with 85 yards on 6 catches, no touchdown. Jalen Waddell also 85 yards on 5 catches, on 10 targets though. So again, not the prettiest game you ever saw. I think Miami played it a bit safe in the second half, and why the hell not? The Washington Commanders, they keep moving up. They keep winning games. They're 7-5. 7-5. That's how good the NFC East is. Washington Commanders have a winning record and are in last place. Tampa Bay Bucks have a losing record and are in first place. Wrap your head around that. Welcome to the NFL, huh? Welcome to the NFL. Weird things happen. 5-7 Falcons, second place. Isn't that just crazy? That's kind of like my job. The people that don't do anything get rewarded, and the ones that work their butts off get ignored. But I'll leave that alone. I shouldn't even say that. It's not just at my job. It's at every job. It's at every job. The people that don't do anything get everything, and the people that, do all the work basically get ignored. Okay, some of them get credit, but certainly not everyone. Just ones that they're favorites. Whatever. I'm babbling too much about personal stuff that you don't want to know. Joey Sly missed an extra point. You sly dog. Okay, sorry. I don't even know why I'm talking like this. Again, and you'll notice again the show getting released on Sunday like normal. I did record the first segment right after, well, not right after the game, but on Thanksgiving night after I got home from being at my parents' most of the day there after recording Brave the Wild in the morning. Because that's a tradition, doggone it. Only 1 sack, Montez Sweat of the Washington Commanders, but hey, they were a pain in the butt to deal with, weren't they? And they had a terrible record when the Vikings played them. Well, it was an improving record. They were getting close to 500 or something like that. Washington's tough, and you know what? They deserve to be in the playoffs more than Tampa does. Washington Commanders deserve to be in the playoffs more than Tampa, and, you know, it's nothing personal. It's business. Whoa. What was that? Sean McVay accidentally had a little friendly fire there, huh? Kansas City and Los Angeles. I'm seeing that in the background. Kansas City winning easily. That's lame, but I don't know. The Rams stink this year, and they're not making the playoffs. We're happy for you, Kansas City. I don't know. They win every freaking week. I don't want them to win another Super Bowl, just like Golden State winning the NBA Finals again last year. Made me just want to vomit. Arrogant piles of. Golden State's much more arrogant than the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs are arrogant, but Warriors, holy crap, they're enough to make you want to vomit. Wow, New Orleans Saints offense is enough to make you want to vomit too. That's funny. San Francisco. So yeah, I'm seeing highlights in the background here. This is before the Eagles and Packers game, unfortunately. Just needed to get going here. Just figured get started, and it's kind of time. Got done with the lawn cleanup stuff, so able to work outside, especially with no game. I don't have to worry about the Vikings game. It's already done, and the review is already done too. So it all worked out. Carolina, Denver. Who cares, right? Garbage. Well, it's a rematch of the Super Bowl, though. Hey, it's a rematch of the Super Bowl. Don't you forget that. Who's dissing on Cam Newton versus 90-year-old Peyton Manning who could barely throw? You know what I mean? Just Denver's defense is so damn good, it didn't matter. And they won the Super Bowl and beat up on the Carolina team that was just a little bit overrated. Just a little bit overrated. But 15-1 was a nice record. Sam Darnold, anyway, actually had a decent game. He was efficient, and Russell Wilson, not really. Sam Darnold, anyway, only attempted 19 passes, completed 11, quarterback rating of 103.8, and did not turn the ball over, at least not in the air. Congratulations, Sam Darnold. Congratulations. Denver lost again. That's just funny. Sam Darnold at whatever cheaper price he's at compared to what Russell Wilson's getting paid to be 3-8, and a quarterback rating of 73.8 versus Carolina. Ugh. Both running backs were pretty good, though, the main ones anyway. Latavius Murray. 7.1 yards on the ground. Of course, a 52-yard scamper will help that. Didn't get in the end zone, but Latavius Murray. Like one of those ageless wonder type of guys. Congratulations. Yeah, I really appreciate what he can do out there. Sad he's on Denver. Wouldn't mind him here, but I suppose we have Madison. So down to Foreman, 113 yards on the ground, 4.7 a carry. Solid game for Carolina, and the Panthers get the job done. Good job. 2 sacks for Brian Burns, who keeps getting better and better. No sacks for Denver on a defense that I thought was good sometimes. Carolina's 4-8, and then Denver's 3-8. Whatever, right? That's a crap bowl. Let's move forward to Jacksonville and Baltimore. Was this a rematch of something? I believe these teams. Yeah. This is a rematch of that famous. Yeah, I know it's not even close, but I know the two teams aren't anywhere near what they were at the time. Brian Billick, 2000 Baltimore Ravens playing against that was Tennessee. Okay, whatever. I'm nuts. That was Tennessee, a very good Titans team that was defending AFC champs, and yeah, Brian Billick looked right at the crowd and said "F you," basically because they were probably talking at his back all day, and that was one of the late touchdowns in the game that put Baltimore in the Super Bowl later on. It was the winner of that game. He declared the winner of that game would go to the Super Bowl. And he was right, and they won. Anyhow, they beat the hated New York Giants, who cheated, damn it. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, did they cheat? I don't know, but they won 28-27. Baltimore still in first place despite the loss. But now Cincinnati's breathing down their neck. Must be a tiebreaker in favor of Baltimore, and I wouldn't be surprised at that because Cincinnati was kind of lousy early in the season. Jacksonville was up 6-0, Baltimore was up 6-0, but then Jacksonville kind of hung with them all day. Baltimore did take a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter. No, not in the fourth quarter. It was the fourth quarter. Early in the fourth quarter, Jacksonville took a 9-point lead. Or Baltimore took a 9-point lead, and Jacksonville just kept chipping away. Baltimore had another 7-point lead with 2:10 left, and Jacksonville pulls it off and completes a 2-point conversion with 18 seconds left. They're like, you know what? We're not going to overtime against the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to win it. We're going to win it with a 2-point conversion, Mike Tice style. Trevor Lawrence to Martin Jones. This was to Zay Jones. Martin Jones was the touchdown. Marvin Jones was the touchdown. And then Zay Jones was the 2-point conversion. Nice. So Jones and Jones and Jones. He was Trevor Lawrence. You know what he was doing at the end of the game? He wasn't just keeping up with the Baltimore Ravens. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? He was keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I had to. I'm sorry. He kept up with the Joneses. Oh, yeah. Or like, what's his name? Chris Berman had come up with something like that. He kept up with the Joneses, and then now the Arizona Cardinals host the Los Angeles Chargers, and guess who won? The Chargers. Okay, yes, the Chargers did win by 1 point, and we'll keep moving. Sorry, I don't know, it sounds like something like I would do. 25-24, the LA Chargers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks. Might as well be the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been lousy the last few years as well. They signed Madison Bumgarner about 3 years too late. God, that guy used to be so good with the Giants. Madison Bumgarner. Oh, man. The World Series hero. You remember that guy with the greatest postseason ERA ever? And the next thing you know, it's like he didn't exist anymore. It's kind of sad. I really liked him. Justin Herbert, awesome game. Nice rebounding after a very, very disappointing loss last week. Oh, man, that one stung for the Los Angeles Chargers, pardon me. 3 touchdowns, no INTs, took care of the ball fairly well. Attempted 47 passes, yet only wound up with 274 yards. Huh. Definitely played more of a short yardage kind of game, that's for sure. James Conner, who? Well, 120 yards, good for him. Almost 5 yards a carry, but did lose the ball along the way. Kyler Murray did run one in. 56 yards total for him on the ground. DeAndre Hopkins, it's not been the prettiest thing ever. Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, 87 yards and a TD for him. But the chemistry and, I don't know, things just aren't working out there. There's some backbiting. That Arizona pass rush is pretty good. J.J. Watt with a sack. Zach Allen with a sack. Isaiah Simmons and Cameron Thomas, definitely. Nice pass rush, but they end up not winning the game. The Chargers survive in Zona 25-24. Congratulations, Chargers. Still kind of hanging around. Second place in that AFC West with a slightly winning record. Seattle Seahawks, again, you let a bad team kind of hang around and they beat you. Las Vegas, just like Cleveland and Tampa, Las Vegas beat Seattle 40-34. What the heck? Back-to-back wins for an awful Las Vegas team. Derek Carr had 2 turnovers in the game. Geno Smith, wonderful numbers, but just wasn't enough. An interception in the game certainly didn't help. Josh Jacobs was pretty much unstoppable. Can I say it again? Tacmo Bowl football. 33 rushes, 7 yards a carry. He did have an 86-yard scamper and a couple of touchdowns, 229. So, again, another kind of guy if you had him on your fantasy team this week. I think you won. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. And he is one of those main kind of guys. You know, if you're playing fantasy football, Josh Jacobs would be probably your number one on whatever team he's on. He's probably at number one. Devontae Adams, who you'd think is a number one, but he has some good moments. Josh Jacobs also had 74 yards in the air. So, my God, over 300 all-purpose yards for Josh Jacobs. I mean, what more is there to say? That deserves some serious applause. Amir Abdullah, kick returning for the Las Vegas Raiders. Cool, not bad. Almost 25 yards a carry. Not bad. Not bad at all. Vegas Raiders, though, upsetting the Seattle Seahawks in their house in impressive fashion. Josh Jacobs, he took off for 86 yards. That obviously got his numbers higher at the end, but it is what it is. Josh Jacobs' 86-yard run to pay dirt to lead the Raiders to victory. Derek Carr did have a touchdown pass to Foster Moreau, not Morneau like Justin Morneau, but Moreau for 5 yards to tie the game up. And then, of course, the Seahawks could not get the job done against the Raiders' defense, despite it was a very high-scoring game for both clubs. Obviously, if it went to OT. 40-34, entertaining and nice. The Super Bowl that never happened, the Super Bowl that everybody wanted about 4 or 5 years ago, Kansas City versus the Los Angeles Rams. Everybody wanted that Sean McVay offense and all those wonderful players. Well, you thought they were wonderful. I don't know if I did. They're 3-8 now. Jeez. Kansas City 9-2. Go away. Hate it. I wish they were both 3-8. Wouldn't that be awesome? I'm sorry. I think I would love it. I know it's bad for football. Oh, Joey, you can't think like that. What do you want? What do you want? Football to go out of business because Kansas City sucks this year? Wow. Why would you want that? I don't know. I just don't want them to win. Sorry. I don't want the Rams to win either. I just don't. Sorry. They got their Super Bowl. Now go away. You know, kind of like the Atlanta Braves back in '95. They got their World Series. Now go away. I don't want to see you anymore. Go, 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 go. You got your championship. Go. Damn it. But, well, maybe they'll be back. Damn it. 26-10, yes, and you got to see Travis Kelce with his big old smile. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm so happy for him. Oh, I'm so happy for Travis Kelce. He's the greatest ever. 57 yards. He got his touchdown, and Patrick Mahomes did not have the greatest game of his life. He did have an INT. Doesn't matter, though, because Kansas City was playing a team that's kind of like probably just about on vacation now. 3-8 on the year. And they're toast. Obviously, the Los Angeles Rams are toast. They got their Super Bowl again. Now go away. That's it. Finally, the Rams, as the Los Angeles Rams, won a championship. Now they can go away. Go, 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 go. Just like the LA Dodgers got their World Series in 2020. Now go away. I don't want to ever see that again. Go, go, go. You got to see their first World Series since '88. That's great. Now go. That's it. I don't want to see LA win anything, and I don't want to see the Chiefs win anything. Sorry. I don't want to see the Saints win anything either, but that's another story. Or the Packers. I know. Of course not. Ooh, well, I do want the Packers to win tonight, though. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Go, Pack, go. Yes, go, Pack, go. You're hearing the host of Purple Mafia say go, Pack, go. Because they're playing the Eagles. If you're a Minnesota Viking fan and you're talking about, well, I want the Packers to lose. I want to make everything certain the Packers are done. Dude, they're done. They're done, okay? They're done. I want the Eagles to lose. The Eagles, who beat you in the NFC title game not too long ago and basically crapped all over you the whole time? What fan base did everything in their power to basically make you feel like garbage? And, F the Eagles. Go, Pack, go. If Green Bay was the team with a 9-1 record, of course I'd be cheering for the Eagles in that situation. Yeah, but they're not. They're not 9-1. They're 9. They're not. You want the Eagles to lose tonight. Every single one of them is picking the Eagles to win. Tony, this is on silent. Nobody's going to pick the Packers. Yeah, Tony just picked them, and that's it. It's a sweep. It is 8 broadcasters all picked the Eagles. Yay. Well, I'm not too surprised, and the Chiefs won comfortably. I don't know. It is what it is. Isaiah Pacheco, another touchdown. Seems like every week he's getting in the end zone. Same with Travis Kelce. He must have like 11 touchdowns already. Well, I mean, he's a hell of a player. I respect him. Blah, blah, blah. Just not a big fan. That's all. Not a big fan. Nah. That's okay. San Francisco versus the New Orleans Saints. First place in the NFC West. You knew it was going to happen sooner or later. A lot of people do believe the San Francisco 49ers are a massive threat to win the NFC this year. And let me tell you, if it's Eagles versus San Francisco in the NFC title game, I'm going red all the way in that one. All the way. I go red on other things too, but I'm going red on San Francisco. No doubt about that one. 13-0 victory. Nice. Impressive defense. Obviously, a team that's got good defense, good running game. Jimmy Garoppolo's getting the job done again. It's just, they keep trying to get rid of him, and then they're like, no. Come back, Jimmy. Please come home, Jimmy. We still need you, buddy. We love you. Okay, you suck. Go away. No, but Jimmy, come on. Come back, Jimmy. Please, Jimmy. We're sorry. We didn't mean it. Oh, man. You got us to the Super, yeah, but then you played like crap at the end. Get out of here. No, Jimmy, please come back. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That's pretty much how it's been, though. Ayuk, 65 yards in the air. Sorry, I can't help myself. Christian McCaffrey, Debu Samuel, only 2 rushes, so that's kind of scary. But Debu Samuel, 3 catches. Yep, it is what it is. It's interesting. Very much so. Will Lutz missed the only field goal he attempted. And, Saints got absolutely shut out. So we'll see what happens. I got to think Allen's safe, though. He's okay. I have nothing against him. Sean Payton was a lot more irritating than Allen. Is it Dennis Allen? I have nothing against the guy. I mean, it's good for him. Blah, blah, blah. Again, I already talked about Detroit in the first segment because that was on Thursday. So that's part of the NFC North thing. Green Bay is playing Philly, about to. We'll probably see that flashing on the screen in the third segment as it's about to start. But now I'm going to babble on and on. No, Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. Monday Night Football, who cares, right? Probably the Colts will win that one, I think. Because boy, Frank Reich had to get him out of there. He had to go. Because yeah, I know. Let's just move on. Matt Ryan's playing now. Something not so good happened there, you can tell. Well, next week's opponent and the Chicago Bears. New York Jets versus the Bits. New York Jets have a really, 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 really nice defense, and he used to be the coach, of course, used to be the 49ers defensive coordinator, and their defense is still good, which is nice. There's Carrie Underwood again. Ugh, God. She looks good, but I don't like her music. I don't like anybody's music. Anyhow, 31-10, the Jets actually showing some offense. Last week, they got completely shut out by the New England Patriots, and the quarterback acted like he just okay, leave me alone, Yeah, I'm not going to apologize to anybody, but he was in a bad mood. He wasn't feeling good. He said he was sick to his stomach or something. I guess that was his excuse. Trevor Siemian, former backup for Kirk Cousins years ago for the Bears, with a touchdown. Woohoo! That'd be the first Viking backup quarterback to throw a touchdown in 50 years. Not really. That would be Case Keenum, I guess. Interception, also by Trevor Siemian, and they looked awfully mediocre, despite having Chase Claypool on their sideline. The Jets, Mike White, not Joe Flacco, Mike White, with 315 yards and 3 touchdowns, almost a perfect quarterback rating. Mike White? Okay, Wilson, not Zach Wilson, because he was awful last week and was benched. Awful, and very unapologetic for the awful performance against the Patriots defense that gave up a lot more points against Minnesota than they did against the Jets last week. In fact, anything is more than 0. Garrett Wilson with 95 yards in the air and 2 touchdowns for the Jets. Elijah Moore, 65 yards on just 2 catches with a TD along the way. Donovan Knight with 69 yards on the ground. Ty Johnson, also a touchdown. Good for him. Entertaining game for the Jets anyway, and Jets fan base. Again, a very stingy and dangerous defense that the Vikings are going to have to put up with coming up going forward. It's going to be very interesting to see how things go. They're in 3rd place in their division because the AFC East is kind of dangerous. You got the Dolphins, you got the Buffalo Bills. So, obviously, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be easy at all. Where's the Jets? Here we go. Jets and Vikings history. History is definitely on the Jets side. Oh, there's no doubt about it. Thank you, the Football Database. Thank you, Football Database, for always providing this history as I go to this every single week. The history, well, the New York Jets, historically, and this is with the Vikings winning the last 2. That's right. With the Vikings winning the last 2. 8-3. Wrap your head around that. If that's not an urban legend, I don't know what is. That's insane. Before that, the most recent Vikings victory, so in 2014 when the Vikings beat the Jets 30-24 in OT. I can't imagine that being a very good Jets team. I'm kind of curious. I'm going to look that up real quick. But yeah, Gerald Hodges. Okay, yeah, yep. Gerald Hodges had a pick 6 in the game. Former Viking player. I put the Vikings up 7-0. Nick Folk before he went to the Patriots, was the Jets kicker. They made all their points on kicks apparently in that game. That's insane. No, Percy Harvin from Geno Smith. Percy Harvin was on the Jets and he scored a touchdown, so there was that one. Geno Smith. Yep, in his early days with the Jets. Yep, interesting stuff. And then Jarius Wright, 87-yard play. Teddy Bridgewater, Jarius Wright escaping. Yeah, made the catch about 40 or so yards down the field and then scampered the rest of the way. That was awesome. Teddy Bridgewater leading the Vikings to a victory on that day. But other than that, Nick Folk made 5 field goals in the game. 5. That's impressive. Geno Smith again had that pick 6 early on. Bridgewater had an INT also, but definitely outplayed Geno Smith with 309 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cool, Matt Asiata, because we didn't have a running back that year. Because Adrian was, suspended the whole season basically. 2 games in. Vikings jumped up to 6-7, and the Jets were 2-11. Yeah, so it was that awful Jets team. Geno Smith just wasn't up to playing in the NFL at the time. But again, as I now digress, December the 7th. So this is going to be about, it's going to be about, 8 years to the day pretty much, the next game with the Vikings. Almost 8 years. It's going to be slightly less. The Vikings' first win versus the Jets since 1975. That's what it was. The only other, the Vikings beat the Jets in 1975, October the 12th, 29-21. A very good Vikings team beat a Jets team that, I don't know, probably wasn't real good. The first time the two teams played was 1970 on November 29th, about 52 years to the day, just about here. 20-10, the Jets won. And then the Jets beat the Vikings 7 games in a row in 79 when I was 3 months old at the time, 14-7, over a mediocre Vikes team in 79. Jets absolutely obliterate the Vikings in 82, 42-14. Yikes. 94, 12-year gap between the last time the Jets beat the Vikings, 31-21. Then 3 years later, the Jets beat the Vikings. Yeah, this is when the Vikings were falling off the face of the earth. I remember cursing my head off in that game. I think this is the one where I called the Vikings GD idiots. I was flipping out, cursing my head off, if I remember right. I was so angry. Yeah, that's what it was. So we were down by 8. The Vikings scored the touchdown. Brad Johnson to Andrew Glover, right? And then the running game wasn't working all day. The Jets defense was stymieing Robert Smith the whole game, right? So we elect to run, to where things were working. Brad Johnson was leading the Vikings comeback. We were down 23-7 in that game. And then Brad Johnson was pretty sharp in that fourth quarter. You get the 8 points. Jake Reed for Brad Johnson, and then Johnson ran it in. So I guess the run worked there, but that's because it's the quarterback. He's a threat to pass, of course. And then we hand off to Robert Smith with defenders basically on him the second the ball got into Robert Smith's hands, and I screamed out, "You GD idiots," right as my mom walked in the room, because this is 97. I was senior in high school? Yeah, I was a senior in high school at the time. Because this is October 2017, my ass. 97. I'm not that young. I'm a lot older than that. And my mom went off on me angrily because, she doesn't want to hear me cursing like that. And, we ended up losing. I was freaking pissed. That was a really good Jets team, actually. Both teams were 8-4 at the end of that game. Vikings would have been ahead a little bit. Could have been 9-3. But that was the beginning of the major collapse, where the Vikings started to fall off the face of the earth that year, around that time. So that definitely triggered a memory. 02, terrible Vikings team. Jets won comfortably 20-7. 06, mediocre Vikings team, and that got worse as the season progressed, 26-13. The team was already kind of like, what the heck did we hire here? When it came to Childress. But I don't know. With a good quarterback, it worked. Awful 2010 Vikings team losing to the Jets. That's as things were dropping off the face of the earth, 29-20. And then, of course, the Bridgewater play. And then that very, very, very cold day. It was in October, but there were snow flurries floating around that whole day. The Vikings win easily, and Sam Darnold was terrible. A comfortable win for the 2018 Vikings, as we were already fairly disappointing, but a 4-2-1 record. It was the very first... I believe. Yes, it was the very first win ever on the road versus the New York Jets. The Vikings had gotten beaten by the Jets every single time we played the New York Jets on the road. Every single time the Jets beat us. They were undefeated. Of course, again, we hardly ever played each other. When you consider 52 years and we've only played 11 times, that's crazy. 2010, I remember it was raining like hell. And it was just awful, an awful game. Favre and Percy Harvin was that thing was working, but the Moss and Favre thing just wasn't. Ended up being a horrible disappointment. And I don't know. It's not because Moss and Favre didn't get along, but because just that team wasn't good and Favre wasn't good. And it was just a nasty day. So, just further reminders of activities that Favre was apparently guilty of while he was on that team for a year in 2008. So, yep, icky memories. But Vikings actually have a 2-game win streak in this series, which is really crazy. I want to believe the Vikings can win this game at home. It's not going to be an easy game. It's not at all. The Jets put a pretty good pounding on the Chicago Bears today. Who's going to be the quarterback? I mean, I don't think they're going to want Zach Wilson. And if it's not, I guess this guy named White. Who again? I mean, it's somebody. White, yeah. 3 touchdown passes. Is he the next Steve Walsh? Mike White. You ever heard of Mike White? I sure haven't. 5th round pick in 2018 by the Dallas Cowboys. He's played leading into this game. I guess he's played 4 games. He played 4 games in 2021 with the Jets. 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. I can't imagine he's going to have as good a game next week as he did this week. I can't imagine. The Chicago Bears are kind of like what they are. They're rebuilding and all that stuff. And it's going to be a little while, but eventually they're going to be dangerous. And, of course, you didn't have Justin Fields out there either for the Bears. The Bears. That is who they were playing against. Mike White, though, so far in his career, again, only 4 games. Drafted in 2018 in the 5th round by the Cowboys. Never played a snap for them. And just 4 games last year. And here he is playing for the Jets. Last year was the Jets, and this year with the Jets. I don't know. We'll see. His touchdowns and interceptions are now even, and his yardage is how many yards did he throw? He threw for over 300 today, didn't he? He had 953 in those 4 games combined. 315. Jeez, like 33% higher in one day. In one game versus 4 games. So impressive, I suppose. Nice day for him. I don't expect the same next week. I think the Vikings should be able to take care of business. And I don't think they're really excited about Zach Wilson right now. He's looking like yet another blue chip bust. I thought he was going to be better than Sam Darnold. I don't know. But I remember that day, Sam Darnold, last time these 2 clubs played. And it was the very first Viking win on the road versus the Jets ever. Sam Darnold was a mess, interceptions and such, and the Vikings kind of got back over 500 or moved further over 500 to 4-2-1 in a frustrating season. But we felt slightly encouraged at the time playing against a pretty awful Jets team, and it was a very, very cold day with flurries floating around in late October. It was interesting stuff. Vikings should be able to win this game, I think. I think so. I'd like to believe the Vikings can beat the Jets. This is a home game. Obviously, I think the Vikings going into New York would be really tough, but this team finds a way to win these close games. That's the thing. If it's a close game, the Vikings win the Super Bowl, and and the ones we lose, it looks like are nasty blowouts, like the Eagles and like the Cowboys. And hopefully, if it's if it's the Chiefs, hopefully it's a close game and the Vikings squeak it out and are world champions, or it's a nasty blowout and we're all depressed and it's the same old depressing story. It'll be Oakland Raiders versus Vikings all over again in '76. It's our 4th Super Bowl loss at the time. Could happen if the Vikings get to the Super Bowl. Could be a depressing loss, and I'm praying to God that won't happen. I'm not convinced the Vikings can get past this Eagles team or the 49ers. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we can. Packers and Philly has started, and I'm not surprised. It's already, the time already. So it is what it is. In good faith, I think the Vikings absolutely can beat this team. I think it's going to be very close. It's going to be very tight. It's going to be fairly. I don't know. I think the Vikings can beat this defense. Vikings offense is up there, up to par. I can't imagine this Jets offense being this prolific in the game. I just can't. I think Mike White's going to have interceptions. I think he's going to be mediocre. A guy like Patrick Peterson, Cam Bynum, somebody like that's going to get some turnovers. He'll get sacked a few times and all that cute stuff. But I think the Vikings win in a medium kind of scoring game, like 24-21, something close like that. 24-21, Minnesota wins the game. Again, I don't think anybody's going to have a dominant day. I don't. If you look just at today's numbers, David Montgomery did run for 5.5 yards a carry. So, and Dalvin Cook has generally been playing super well lately, considering he looked kind of like a step slow, just like Derrick Henry. But for the first several games of the year, Cook then suddenly had been hitting stride and looking better. Wouldn't be surprised if Cook is a big part of the Vikings win offensively. I say that almost every week lately, but I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is what he is. He's a threat to go, to make some big plays. There will be a big play or two to Justin Jefferson. That'll be a big part of the difference. the Vikings do end up winning the game by 3, 24-21. Again, I think the Vikings turnover Mike White. I mean, I just don't see this happening. I think it's one really nice game by Mike White. Golden opportunity for him to do something here, but I don't know. And if he does, he does, and whatever. That sucks. Is he the next Steve Walsh? No, this isn't a playoff game, so no. He's from Plantation, Florida. Plantation, interesting name for a city. Very interesting name for a city. Plantation. Okay. Anyhow, Vikings again, 24-21 victory over the New York Jets in a back-and-forth kind of game that I do think the Vikings forced a turnover or two on Mike White. With that, we'll take a quick break, and we're going to open things up hearing from somebody out of New Zealand. That's right, Tanae Brown. Welcome back to the show with a call-in. Love it.
How's it going, Joey? I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I hope the rest of the Purple Mafias had a good Thanksgiving too. Interesting game. Just, I don't know what the defense was doing through the first 3 quarters, and the special teams as well. The offense, Kirk Cousins probably had one of his best games, even though he had a shaky start. The offense really kept them in it, and then, put the nail in the coffin at the end. The defense came to life in the fourth quarter. Just seemed like they were lost. Seemed like there was holes everywhere. Coming into the week, I don't know, I just thought that the Patriots would run the ball all the time on us, because it seemed like Dallas could have just run the ball all day, but that game's a bit of an outlier, I guess. But yeah, I didn't think that Mac Jones was going to come in and just pick us apart for 3 quarters, and then the defense really stuck it to them in the fourth. I think all up they had 70 yards in the fourth quarter, but they got 50 of them on just one play. So, you got one lapse in there, but then apart from that, the defense was all over them. I just don't understand how we have such high highs and low lows with that defense. But if they're coming up clutch, I guess you can't complain too much. Putting up those points against that amount of points against the Patriots as well is like, you got to be pretty impressive how the offense played today, I think. Kene Nwanu had that massive return. That was probably a momentum shifter for us. It seemed like the Pats had it all going for them, and then that just sort of crushed their spirit. Their special teams, I think both teams' special teams actually were pretty bad. I think it's about time we get rid of Greg Joseph. I'm pretty sure we should have gotten rid of him at the start of the season. Just sick of extra points being coin flips, really. But I don't know. I don't really know who's out on the market as a kicker. Maybe that Blankenship. I think he might be, but yeah. It's just a bit frustrating that you can't rely on your kicker whatsoever. Kirk Cousins, he had probably one of his best games, even though he had a shaky start. I think that was easily his best game he's played all season. Yeah, he just the faith he has in Jefferson, deservedly so. Jefferson just makes plays non-stop. You throw the ball in his vicinity, and it seems like he's just going to come up with it. I know at the start of the season he had a couple drops, which I was concerned about. I thought he might have been in for a big regression this season. Well, not a big regression, but some sort of regression. But he's just been awesome. Anything that gets thrown to him, it just seems like he ends up with. He just makes plays. He'll catch it. He'll take big hits, and he'll still have the ball. He'll rip the ball out of someone else's hands like he did last against the Bills. But yeah, having Jefferson and having Kirk not being scared to throw picks when he's just gonna make a throw to him and just give him a chance to make a play, just seems like those 50-50 plays to Jefferson are always 80-20 instead of 50-50, But yeah, that's all I've really got to say about the game. yeah, once again, happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.
And I thank you for that call in today out of New Zealand. Thank you very, very, very much. Great to hear from you. And nice thoughts on the game. Again, yeah, surprising how Mac Jones carved us up a bit for a while there. It's like it led me to believe he's a better quarterback than the credit he gets, but other games he doesn't look so hot. Luckily, the Vikings defense did come through, as you said, and really love what Onwenu did, and Vikings' chances now look better and better with that 9-2 record. Wonderful, wonderful call. And again, I don't want to clump all over what you said and just repeat it and all that stuff. So again, hope everybody enjoyed what Tanae had to say. It was really nice. I loved it, and hope to hear from you more and more often on this show and on Timberwolves Explosion, of course, as well. That's the other show I do, which is on the Basketball Podcast Network now, TBPN. But of course, it's all in the same place on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all those other, Spotify and such. And there were some weird kerfuffles this past week that I had to clean up a bit. Some of you probably noticed, those of you that use Apple Podcasts, it only affects Apple Podcast people, what I did this past week. And, well, the kerfuffles that I created that started up maybe a couple of weeks earlier, I didn't realize there were 2 feeds, because I got creative thinking, I gotta get these, I gotta make sure these Apple Podcasts have the right RSS feed instead of Hipcast. It's got to be Megaphone now. But what I was doing, I didn't realize, of course the old ones are still there. I created new ones, not thinking okay, the old ones are still there. I thought I was just adding the RSS feed to the old ones. That's what I thought I was doing. But what I did was create duplicates that had the new RSS feed. Instead, what I needed to do is, well, now the Eagles are about to go up 14-0 the way this is going. Follow the bouncing ball. Dun, 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 dun. Yep. Yuck. That was a bouncing interception and such in favor of the Eagles. Yuck. Yeah, they looks like they're going to win comfortably, which I'm not happy about. Go Pack Go, and they're not going anywhere now. That was not good. Back to the kerfuffles about Apple Podcasts. I created duplicates when I didn't need to. What I needed to do was get in touch with Dylan on how to access the original Apple Podcasts links and feeds and such, and then add the correct the new RSS feed, update it to Megaphone instead of Hipcast to hopefully get more and more accurate number captures, download captures, and all that. So finally was able to do that, and then I eliminated the duplicates for Probo Mafia, Brave the Wild, and Timberwolves Explosion. And I even created the same issue with Freedom of Thought, but that one was repaired about a week earlier. And then I was like, wait a minute, I didn't notice there's 2 Timberwolves and all them. Like, oh, crap. So got all that fixed up. Timberwolves Explosion, though, I created a massive kerfuffle there where I archived the original feed and left the other one up there, which was a huge mistake because everybody was still attached to the original feed and nobody was attached to the new one. So nothing was being downloaded on Apple Podcasts, nothing. And it's like, holy crap, Timberwolves Explosion's going to die. Even though I know there's other, and again, thank you so much, Spotify, Google Podcasts, other, apps out there that can bring you the show, and it sounds the same, and it's all the same thing. But a lot of people use Apple Podcasts, so it's like you got to get that going. That's like closing a major artery. If you're talking about podcasting, you got to get that artery, you got to get that blood flow going again, or should I say RSS flow, and that helped. So thankfully, and then we eliminate the confusion of which one do I subscribe to? The only one that's there. Thank God we can leave it at that, and not lose all the wonderful reviews people took the time to write, and simply put 5 stars. It means a lot. So thank you for that. Sorry for babbling so much there about that, but I wanted to make sure I got that information out there in case some of you are wondering, why were there 2 Purple Mafia feeds? Jeez, what a nasty game. This is just like Vikings and Eagles. It's not going in the right direction at all. Anyhow, awesome call-in by Tanae. Obviously, star candidate right out of the gate with that type of deal. At Purple Mafia Show, and now I'm getting a white screen of nothing. Don't you just love when that happens? It's wonderful. Okay. Where's the retweet from the previous episode? There it is. I was saying afraid of the pinstripes, which it sure felt like. Thank you, TPPN at the Pigskin Podcast, or excuse me, Pigskin Podnet is the Twitter account. Vince Germano, Lakers, Pies, Browns. Yep. At Vinrock44. Again, that's Vince Germano out of Melbourne, Australia. Malcolm McSween out of the southern part of California, but not Los Angeles. At Malcolm McSween, or at McSween10. And Tanae Brown out of New Zealand, the guy you just heard. At Tanae Bro. Gotta love Tanae Wilson Brown, Tanae Brown out of New Zealand. Great, great guy. Vince Germano, all of you. Malcolm, great guy. Oh, man, love you guys so much. And TPPN, I think that's Dylan. The new Dylan. There's Dylan Richardson who helped me get access to those accounts. And then I did and then I was able to do my work, get all that stuff attached and everything and feel better, and now everything's going to the right place. So I had to mention that update. I know some of you might be thinking, why is he babbling on about that? Well, it might be good to know. Ned Martin was saying, come on up on 1:30 a.m. here. They better turn up tonight. And that was against the Patriots, and thank God they did. Ned Martin was saying, me about 6 hours ago was laughing. Interesting. What were we talking about? Let's go back to that. What the hell? Let's see what's going on here. He's laughing with someone named John. It's interesting. He said, I've been awake for 18 hours, 10 minutes till kickoff. Jeez, yep, John said that. Man Martin says, was up at 3:50 a.m. Who needs sleep? And then John says, me, about 6 hours ago. Ouch, yep. That's what they're laughing about. And then Man Martin says, 5 hours sleep is great night for me. They better win. Yeah, I don't like to sleep too much either. And my wife's never going to understand that. She hates me for that. But I don't like to sleep very much. I don't. At night, anyway. No, I don't like to sleep much. I don't. I like to go to bed late and not get up too late either. Get up a little earlier. He said Patriots needed just 5 plays to travel 75 yards. Yeah, that was scary. And saying it's impressive. Yeah, they look pretty good. Mad Martin continue. This is on Thanksgiving Day. And yes, and thank you so much for the Thanksgiving wishes to Nate Brown. Really, really appreciate that. Again, because, yep, I mean, being from New Zealand, they don't, it would be like a different kind of a Thanksgiving or like holidays like that there. So thank you for thinking about us. Really appreciate that. And it was a wonderful, wonderful day, and the Vikings got the win. Yep, great opening drive, and then primetime Kirk. Yep, that was the interception. The primetime Kirk was not thought of very highly, generally speaking. Tanae says, definitely mixed feelings. Oh, no, that's me. Definitely mixed feelings, but at least they're ahead. Of course, Greg Joseph misses another extra point. Yeah, that's when things got a little better. Matt Martin says it's a time to replace him, playing better than I expected. The Vikings, anyway. And, yeah, Tanae was also thinking he wants to get rid of Greg Joseph as well. I don't blame you guys for thinking that. It could end up coming to that. I'm paranoid, but, I mean, last time we did get rid of Blair Walsh, that was a good move. Well, not last time, but yeah, like a current kicker that had been here a little while. Yep, getting rid of Blair Walsh was a good move because Kai Forbath was wonderful. Greg Joseph is not a draft pick, where Daniel Carlson was, and I wish the Vikings gave him a little more time because we would not talk about replacing Dan Carlson, I'm pretty sure. So, it's too bad. Greg Joseph is not a prospect of any kind. Isn't he like upper 20s already? Mid to upper 20s, I think. Matt Martin says, great bounce back from Sunday. Yeah, it really was. I was saying that it really was. That was a well-played football game for the most part. Both teams showed up to play, and they did, which made things pretty entertaining. Definitely not a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but fun. It's definitely a fun game, and, yep. I'm guessing Matt Martin went to sleep after that one because, really early and all that over there at the time. Or really late, really late, yeah. The other kind of thing, really early in the morning, but really late as things go there. So that's the end of the Twitter. Let's try to get to Facebook if humanly possible. As I didn't have that up right away, I do now. Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. So again, thank you for liking that. And that's been growing a bit. What are we at, 1,100? It took forever to get to 1,000. Now we're at 1,100. So cool. And it does help when you have Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson rather than Mike Zimmer and whatever. Mike Zimmer and Clint Kubiak. With Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, but underutilizing their talents. That's for darn sure. I never clicked like on that. Shame on me. I bet Mark's like, really, Joey? You're ignoring me. Oh, I think I might have liked some of these. No, I didn't. What the heck? So we're picking up from where we left off from the last episode. I didn't like on any of this stuff. I'm sorry, guys. It was a busy week last week, though, as it usually is. It's always work and crap. I don't know. I think we all love work, don't we? And I wasn't feeling good either. I'm getting a little better now. Continuing off of the Afraid of the Pinstripes post is both Mark and Gerald loving up the show. Thank you guys so much. Gerald out of Nebraska says, well, you can never get too high or too low being a fan of this team. Guessing we're not as horrible as 40-3 butt whooping, but probably not as good as 8-1 coming into this game. Coaching staff still has a little ways to go yet. I'm not a Cousins lover or hater, but thinking that little magical money tree probably coming to an end next year, or coming to an end this year or next. Probably going to need to draft a quarterback to get to the next level, and I think so too. Obviously, Kirk is having a wonderful season in terms of being clutch. He's been very clutch, generally speaking, but is he the quarterback that'll lead you to a Super Bowl title? I don't know. And even if he is, I mean, he's not getting any younger. What is he, 34, going on 35 years, so clock's ticking. The clock is ticking, bottom line. I mean, you want to have somebody up to speed in the next couple of years. Obviously draft a guy, let him get kind of used to things rather than forcing him out to the Wolves right away, unless he's like a super blue chip talent, but even those tend to fail all the time these days. Mark Carlson responded, Mark out of Iowa, of course, which is the king of Purple Mafia when it comes to states and regions. Iowa rules Purple Mafia. Isn't that cool? Mark Carlson says, most definitely, Cousins is good, but the team has to be thinking long-term all the time. Yep. Mark continues, says, Joey, Apple Podcast has your show. Yep, so that's the truth. Yep, he must have been on the original feed, which is totally fine, which is good. Joey, Apple Podcast has your show. No download issues. Thank you for the show. It's a great comfort to listen to as I'm traveling far from home. And yep, he often does that. Oh, man, why am I forgetting the name of the page? Where it's like now, like all these current, like something that's going on now. Like you could be driving by a farm. You could be showing a beautiful sunset, a beautiful sunrise. I just love the pictures Mark posts. It's awesome. And yes, I'm really glad there's been no download issues with Apple. I think I was freaking out about Timberwolves Explosion, and that was the one that really had the true kerfuffle. And what I didn't realize was, again, that there were duplicates. And then the one thing is, it was still the old one was still attached to the old RSS feed, which was still working and connected, but Hipcast is going away. They're ceasing operations. So when it disappears, I wanted to make sure everything is tied correctly to Megaphone, which everything is now. And I got rid of the duplicates. So very happy. And I'm really sorry I didn't respond and notice that earlier, Mark. I feel bad about that. Always a very nice, understanding guy. But it's still, I mean, even though I feel so bad. Mark says, looking forward to the podcast and especially to the comment segment. How on earth did the Vikings only score 3 points, and why did the Vikings allow 40 points? I didn't get to watch the game. Yep, so that's a relief. So I have no valuable input, and it's been a long time since I recall a game with such a score. Is Ponder back? Yeah, it felt like it. I remember Ponder going into Green Bay one of those games. I think that was in 2014. It was really bad like that. It was awful. The Packers were like winning the division, and Ponder was terrible and all that. He was still here that one last year because I know both Castle and Bridgewater were hurt. It was awful. Ponder was the third stringer, and we got obliterated. I remember Ponder going into Green Bay in 2011 or 2012? I can't remember what year it was. It was like 42-7 or something disgusting. It was so bad. Oh, it was bad. So now let's get to the in-game threads. This is the Facebook page, of course. Should I look at the demographics again, too, just for fun? I think I will real quick. I'm going to go to that at the end if I remember. I probably will remember because I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I was saying, certainly not a bad game like last week, but kind of so-so, not sure what to think yet. Mike Dale, out of the state of New York, was saying, we are so porous on defense, we can't stop the run, and our defensive backs look completely clueless in pass coverage. This isn't serviceable until Dantzler comes back when we're not in the Donna shell. we get torched on deep fly patterns. Yeah, it's really frustrating. And Dave Hickey was saying exactly. Like Dale says, another missed extra point. It's now every week. When is it enough? I mean, when is enough enough? Yeah, I mean, Dave Hickey was saying agreed. I don't know what's out there, but they need some competition immediately. It is pretty weird. Dave Hickey was saying happy Thanksgiving, hoping a Vikings victory later. Yep, and thankfully it was. Thank God. Dave Hickey says, another incredible victory. We expelled some demons against the Pats on that one. Yeah, they were undefeated against us. Mark says, thank you, Joey, for your hard work putting the show together every week, rain or shine, win or lose. And you're always welcome, Mark. You are always welcome. Mike Dell responds with, here, here. Yep, thank you so much to both of you. Big time. Sorry for being so uninvolved last week. Mike Dell says, Kane. Mike Dell says, God, we need Christian Darrisaw back pronto. And I was thinking, I hope so. That's for darn sure. Mike Dell says, good variety of distribution on the first drive involving a myriad of different receivers. Dave Hickey says, old Tony Romo is sure calling a different game today for the lovable losing Lions. Another nail-biter. Who'd have thought? Again, continued Dave Hickey. Who'd have thought, right? Dave Hickey says, defense playing like bleep again. Eric Mostert says, primetime Kirk. And then like, oh boy. You know that look like, oh my. Yep. Let's get to the post-game thread here, and then we'll look at the demographics. Ben McCarthy says, happy Thanksgiving, Skol, good game, hope our defense gets better. Yeah, and I hope so too. Eric Marstard says, nice, both of these guys out of South Dakota, says, a nice bounce-back win in prime time nonetheless. Yep. Andre Charavong, yep, welcome to, great to hear from you again. He says, Matt Patricia is the offensive line coach and de facto offensive coordinator. Steve Belichick is the linebackers coach and de facto defensive coordinator. Sounds kind of like what the Vikings were doing last year, doesn't it? Yeah, but of course Belichick, I don't think he's on the verge of getting let go or anything, but it's not a good mix. Tony Coleman, yep, good thoughts there, Andre. Tony Coleman out of South Dakota. Great to hear. Yep, that's another South Dakota legend there. Oh, man, what a fun game. I have to say, this season has been a blast. They've had these exact same kind of games for years, but finally this season the Vikings are ending up on top. I missed the game last week, and a good thing, he says, but this was a good return to Vikings football. Happy Thanksgiving, Purple Mafia family, and Skol. Mike O'Connor, cool, that's a cool name, just like Kevin O'Connell, right? Oh shoot, I just hit the wrong button. Of course I did, and we're getting the white screen of nothingness. Come on now. Oh, it showed something. Pretty sure he's from Minnesota. Locally here, somewhere. No, well, it's Foundation. Yeah, it's in Minnesota, so I'm not sure the exact location. He says, my heart stopped too many times. Yeah, it was scary. Mike Dill says, man, oh man, another barn burner. I like that word, yep. Woo, it's a big one. Yep, it's one of those big ones. Man, oh man, another barn burner. Mike Dale, by the way. Another back and forth game where the defense finally tightened up at the end, or at the 11th hour, and made the big smart plays despite looking out of sorts through the first 3.5 quarters. Yes, there are injuries to both Dantzler and Evans that are really making us look vulnerable and exposed. However, when the game was on the line, our big players came up big on defense. I'm especially looking at you, Daniil Hunter, with the timely sack, and Patrick Peterson keeping the receiver in bounds on Pat's last drive. On the Pats' last drive. The Pats, not Patrick Peterson. The Patriots. Yep, last drive, sorry. Seemingly the only time they threw his direction, yep. Offense looked like it had a productive day and preserved. Despite the injury to Christian Darrisaw, Blake Brandel seemed to be an adequate Band-Aid as the offense was able to put up 33. Yeah, he was so much better, wasn't he? Where the week before he was just, talk about Band-Aids and all that stuff. It was more like please stop the bleeding, that kind of thing. Like a Band-Aid that wasn't working at all. But in this case, it was a good Band-Aid. Yep. Fran Award goes to Justin Jefferson. He's racking them up, and it should be no surprise to no one. Other players that played well were Kirk Cousins, Kene Nwangwu, and Adam Thielen, who finally looked to be back to be let back in the fold with a few more targets and receptions, not to mention the go-ahead touchdown. today after a seemingly multi-game barren spell. Yep. Congrats also to TJ Hawkinson on his first Vikings touchdown. We also might have the best punter in the league in Ryan Wright. Yeah, I think so. As for punter memorial, Duke Shelley had a very rough day. That said, he's CB number 5. Yeah, in the depth chart. So he was always going to struggle when frequently and relentlessly targeted and tested. Also, Greg Joseph, again, another missed extra point. This has become an epidemic proclivity of his to push his extra point kicks to the right and needs to be rectified sharpish. I don't know if a sports psychologist needs to be brought in, as this seems to be a case of the yips, a la Chuck Knobloch or Mackie Saucer. Yeah, Chuck Knobloch at second base, right? Yeah, for the New York Yankees, right? So yes, I do have memories of that. He's obviously in his own head, and he either needs professional help or replacing, as this franchise and its iconic, tortured, self-inflicted demise via missed field goals / kicks will once again eventually bite us in the arse. Again, though, the level of fight and lack of panic has impressed me. It's a welcome pick-me-up from the demoralizing and systemically dismantling of our team by the Cowboys just this past Sunday. It shows resilience and, more importantly, a mental toughness on the part of our young coaching regime, showing they can get trounced, recover, and make the proper pre- and in-game adjustments and game plans. Kudos that their growth as a team and coaching staff. Yep, to their growth as a team and a coaching staff. 9-2 and roll on. Next week against a plucky Jets team. Zach Wilson is very mistake-prone, but their defense is legit, and they're a team not to dally with or be slept upon, despite their recent notorious futility. Skull. And yep, they beat the Bears really bad today. And it might be Mike White at quarterback, but yeah, and I don't think he's going to duplicate the numbers he put up against the Bears today. But no, great, thank you. That was awesome. Dave Hickey wraps things up here on the Facebook page saying, yep, he's got a big one too. Another thrilling game. It would be great if we can have a game where everyone is clicking. The closest game so far was Game 1 against the much-hated Rodgers and company, and how improbable was that? Was that game? One of the new coaching staff and system. I can't say enough good things about this coaching staff. They really have changed the culture of this team, giving the players more confidence and freedom to make mistakes and not get benched or cussed out. And the coach and quarterback are openly talking during the game, not just the quarterback either. Coach is actively working with all the players during the game. Coach has been a professional the whole season. After last week, when we got our ass handed to us, he admitted mistakes he made. He pulled players out of the game, and when the game was out of hand, so they didn't get a bad injury and a meaningless loss. Would Zimmer ever do that? Hell no. And right after the game, he would throw his players under the bus and never take responsibility for any of it. As for the kicker, something needs to be done. We cannot keep leaving points out there. Kicking problems always seem to happen with our team year after year. It's too bad Coach O'Connell wasn't around when Daniel Carlson was here, because I believe he would have worked with him. It seems like he's a good player now, and maybe he can do this with Greg Joseph. I don't know who's out there for kickers, but some competition needs to be brought in. If Zimmer was still here, Joseph would not be. But like I said, we don't want that kind of coaching around anymore. But sometimes you need to light a fire under his ass. Congratulations, TJ Hawkinson, on his first touchdown with the Vikings. I just wish it would have come in last week's game, because I believe that would have made a difference in that game. But the past is the past, and I shouldn't keep dwelling on it. Besides, he's the closest thing to Victor the Viking on the team. Yep, yeah, he's got that long look. Yep, I believe he really does look like the team logo. Congratulations on your new logo, Joey. It looks great. And your new sponsor. Thanks for all your hard work putting the podcast together, and have a safe and blessed Thanksgiving to all the Purple Mafia faithful as well. Skull, and thank you so much, Dave Hickey, for that. I mean, you guys are both getting stars. There's no doubt about it. Tanae's getting a star. No doubt about it. I mean, Mad Martin, Mark Carlson, you guys deserve one every week. You know, I mean, consistency from, and I mean, Tony Coleman, He doesn't post as much as he used to. Maybe he will some more, hopefully. Hopefully, but if he doesn't, it's if he's busy or he doesn't want to post, it's okay. But I'll always miss you when you're not there, Tony. I love hearing from you. Really appreciate hearing from Brent McCarthy, Eric Mustard. Yep, really love you guys, Andre, Mike O'Connor. Nice to hear from you as well. Gold star for this episode. It's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, three of you deserve it big time. Where do I go? Where do I go with this? It's it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. Gosh. And I don't want to give 3 gold stars. That's I don't know. It's really 3, That sounds kind of crazy. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. The cool part is all 3 of you are already in the Hall of Fame. If you can, all 3 of them are already in the Hall of Fame. So, but I mean, you can always get Gold Star of the Year too, type of thing. Like the Dave Hickey's got one before. Tanae's been awesome all year. Where do we go? I'm having a hell of a time with this decision. Oh boy. Because I don't. Gold Star is going to go to Dave Hickey. Dave Hickey's going to get the gold. Mike and Tanae, gold-plated silver. That's, gold-plated silver, no doubt about it. Bronze, Tony and Mark Carlson bringing in the bronze. Thank you guys so much for all that you guys do for this show. Mad Martin, obviously, always, bronze star at the very least for this one as well. I mean, you guys are just so great. And I love hearing from you. I love the posts. It's Christmas season now. I hope all of you are ready for it and enjoy it and all that. Obviously, like I say on other shows and probably on this one, the only thing I don't like about Christmas is probably the crowds everywhere. Everything's out of whack, and of course, people always going off of work for a month or something. It's really annoying. At least in the place I work, it happens way too much. It's annoying, but it is what it is, I guess. With that said, again, I mean, I can't say enough of how much I love driving around the neighborhood and other neighborhoods and looking at Christmas lights. It's like an addiction for me this time of year. So hope I don't damage my car too much by doing that, like wear and tear. But Packers driving, and they might be taking the lead. How about that? Go, Pack, go. And it's just the first quarter. 13-13, extra point pending. Go, Pack, go. I didn't realize how much they were coming back in this one, how ugly it looked just moments ago. Cool. Well, this is nice. Who'd have thunk it? Green Bay's going to help Minnesota, possibly? That'd be great. Anyhow, though, I mean, really appreciate everything you guys do for this show, spreading the word about it and all that. It just means so much. Look at the demographics super quick here before I wrap things up. Also encourage you, keep telling your friends about the show, and anybody that wants to help, tell your friends about the show, share it and all that. Facebook, Twitter, or whatever else there is. Yep, United Kingdom is a strong second behind the United States, so man, that is really great. I love, thank you so much for those of you in the United Kingdom, the Lions, basically, and I don't mean like Detroit Lions, I mean like the real Lions. Those are the real Lions out of England, and how America is basically called the young lions in the Bible. So that's kind of cool. It's like a hint at that. Norway, Spain, Australia, of course. Singapore, still in third place. Pretty cool, Singapore. So, and when I see places like Iraq and stuff, I'm thinking that might be soldiers, even in Norway. Who knows? So, really appreciate all of you. As for states, let's look at that one more time just for fun. You just know, Iowa's number 1 with a bullet. Minnesota number 2. England number 3. New York, the state of New York, number 4. That is awesome. California, Florida, Arizona, Nebraska, Illinois. Thank you so much. And I think it's so fun to look at that kind of thing. But Iowa Purple Mafia, the Iowa Purple Mafia. Thank you guys so much. With that, wishing all of you a nice week. Please write a positive rating on Apple Podcasts if you could. Those of you that have Apple Podcasts or any of the other apps like Spotify, Audible, and Stitcher are the ones I know you can. Maybe some others. Green Bay leads Philly. Of course, it is just the first quarter, but they're ahead. They're on a 14-0 run, so that's pretty cool. With that said, hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you after the Jets game.